All right, so today we're gonna look at arrays, PHP arrays. What is an array? Array is nothing more. It's just a special type, special variable, which can hold more than one value at a time. All right. So maybe if you've got a list of items, like a list of car names, maybe a list of people, people names, for example. Um, if you will store one value, then it's going to look at, maybe it's going to be something like person one person one is maybe Jonathan, and um, person two is um, Chris, person three, and so on. All right. So however, what if now you want to loop through um, the persons or the people, and you want to find a specific person, or you want to find a specific name out of that. And what if you did not have like two people, but you had about 4,000 names in there? So the solution to this is to create an array. Okay, because now an array can hold many values under a single name. Okay, you can access those values by referring to or referencing or referring to the um, what we call the index number. All right, so in PHP there's three types of arrays. There's an index arrays, so basically that is an array with a numeric index. And there's also associative arrays, so that is a arrays with a named keys. And there's also multi-dimensional arrays, so that is arrays containing one um, or more arrays. All right, so now in this way, if we were to you know if we were to store this in a nice array. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new file for this. So I'm going to close all of this, and I'm just going to add a new file. So this is, I'm going to call index array dot php, and of course we'll have the PHP body. Right, we don't need to close this. If it's PHP alone, then there's no need to close it. Like we explained before, we said, I just explained now, that arrays is just complex variables that allows us to store more than one value or a group of values. So you store these under a single variable name. So like I was explaining, if we wanted to store maybe people, so I can have an array like this. So I can have people or persons. I said people. All right, so I can create a variable called people, and in people I can say it is array and so I'm gonna have Steve, and I'm gonna have Jonathan, and I can have Bob. You see now. So now we can always echo. So if we echo out, let's say count, you can actually count the array of people. All right, so let's just go and preview that in the browser localhost. So if I click there, then I can see that there's 3 people there. Okay, I can see that there is actually about 3 people. All right, so what if I wanted to loop through the array? So since I know these 3 people, I can actually use a for loop. All right, we will do the for loops a little bit later on. So I can say echo br. So I can have br. All right, I can have br, and I can say for, and I can have variable I is 0, and I can say as long as variable I is less than let me see. Actually, let's use a for each. For each is much easier. So we can say uh, for each, and so I can say people. Okay, people as person. No, actually I can say people as name, and here I can just echo out the name. You see, I can just echo the name. Actually, now remember what I said about the single quotes and double quotes, so we have to use double quotes here. Because if you use a single quote, it's gonna see name not as a variable but as a string. So we can also make sure that we have a PR in between. You see now? All right. So let's have a look. And this is the one. If we refresh, and then we can see Steve, Jonathan, and Bob. So they're all printed in there. All right. So so what we did here when we declare those arrays, so this is, I can always put another array by doing this. I can say people, and remember this is indexed, right? This is indexed, so meaning this starts from 0. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So let's say I want to put another person on index 4, then I can say on 4 I want to put maybe I want to put Sophia. So I can have Sophia there. All right. So if we go back and reload that, then we'll see we'll have Sophia on index 4. Okay. So you can always assign per index manual as well. So what if you wanted to only get one value? Maybe you want to print out Jonathan. Jonathan is index 1. So we will do something like, I'm gonna put we can just echo people like this, and you can just say index 1 here. All right, so that's just going to print out Jonathan. So if we go back here and reload, then we can see that it's printing out Jonathan. All right, so never mind. So we just need to put the BR there. And if we reload, then we can see that we've got Jonathan. So you can always access one value. Okay. Now there is what we call also an associative array. There is what we call an associative array. So what is that? What is the associative array? Associative array are arrays that are named using name keys that you assign to them. Ne? So, well, there's two ways we can create an associative array. All right. So instead of using index numbers, we can, let me just, maybe I'm just gonna echo HR here, all right? And I just want to make a comment here. So this is associative array. So we can do something like, let's say, I can say age, and this is array, and I can say we've got let's say we've got let's take the same people. We've got, of course, Steve, right? Of course, Steve, and Steve will be, so use this Steve will be let's say 21, and we can say Jonathan will be 25, and let's say one more, and then we've got Bob will be 23. Okay, now we can say, let's say we can echo and say something like Jonathan is, right, is, and then we concatenate like this, age, and so instead of passing the index, now remember, to get a single value, here we pass the index number. So here, instead of passing, we can pass the name. All right, so we can pass the name of Jonathan. Okay, Jonathan. Of course, you need to code that. You need to code it. So we can Jonah. What in the universe did I just type there? All right, so we can pass Jonathan, and of course we concatenate with years old. You see, now instead of passing the value, passing the index, we pass the named index. So this is like more of a named index, right? So if we go back here and sort of reload, and we can see that Jonathan is 25 years old. You see now, Jonathan is 25 years old. Okay, so now what if we wanted to loop through the associative array using the for each? All right, so we can do some like here I'm just gonna go ahead and concatenate with the BR. So I'm just gonna say BR. This is just to concatenate with a line break or something like that. All right, so now we can use a for each. So we can say for each and age as, and then I'm gonna say as, let's say y, like this, and then I'm gonna say is value. something like that. Now we'll say echo key equal, and then we're going to concatenate. All right, so we're going to concatenate with y, concatenate with, and then I'm going to say value is concatenate with value. And of course, here I'm just going to echo a BR so that it doesn't look too strange. BR. All right, so let's look at that now. So if we go ahead and refresh, then we can see that we've got Steve and the value is 21. Actually, I think I must just, instead of a value, I can just say, so we've got maybe the key is the name and the age, something like this. All right, I think it's making more sense. All right, so let's have a look. Reload. That's much better. So name Steve, age 21. Name Jonathan, age 25, and so on. You see now. So this is looping through an associative array. Okay, so this is what we call associative array. Now we do also have what we call a multi-dimensional array. So what is that? So that is an array in which each element can also be an array, and each element in a sub-array can be an array or further contain array within itself, and so on. All right, so suppose we can do a quick example on multi-dimensional array. And basically, why would you use it? Because sometimes you want to store values with more than one key. You understand? For these, we have to use multi-dimensional array. Like I'm explaining now, that multi-dimensional array is an array containing more than one, containing one or more arrays. Okay, because now PHP does support multi-dimensional arrays that are 2, 3, 4, or 5, or you can even go more. Okay, however, arrays more than 3 levels are hard to manage for most people. All right, so you should be really careful about that when you're working with multi-dimensional array. So now the dimension of an array indicates the number of indexes that you need to select an element. Okay, for a 2-dimensional array, you need 2 indexes to select an element, and then for a 3-dimensional array, you need 3 indexes. All right, so for instance, we can have I'm trying to think now how we can offer an easy example that we can do. Let's say let's quickly do this example. Let's say we have let's say, okay, let me just copy this. HR. So here, this is a multi-dimensional array. So this is multi-dimensional. I think there's one M there, isn't it? Dimensional array. All right, suppose I have something like contacts. So I can create contacts, okay, and I can say is array, and then within there I can have another array. So there I can have, maybe I've got let's take Steve again, Steve. So I've got the name Steve, right? Actually I can do something like, let's say name, and I can just say Steve. All right, and then I can have, maybe I can have phone, and then it's equals to, all right, now I can have another name here. So I have I will have Jonathan, and let's just give him a different phone, and let's have Sophia, and let's have a different phone here. All right, just missing a comma then. All right, now how will we access this? So first, to actually access one email, let's say we want to access Jonathan. Jonathan is on index what, 1, right? So we would go and say echo and say Jonathan. Maybe we want to access the phone number, and then we can just say Jonathan's so here you must use the backtick to escape that. Remember the backslash. Email is, and then we're gonna concatenate with contacts, right? And then we're gonna say 1 and phone, not email. For phone number, and then we concatenate with contacts 1. But there we're looking for what? We're looking for phone, so we're gonna say phone. Okay, so if we go back here and sort of reload this, then we can see the phone number here. Okay, so that is the associative arrays. That is the associative not associative, it's a multi-dimensional array. So it's an array within an array. All right, so it's an array that has multi-levels. So within this array you can put another array. All right, so but just make sure that they don't confuse you. Okay guys, so I'm gonna stop here for today, and then tomorrow we'll continue with other things.